we always talk about, and I always see videos, pertaining to, you know, every piece, like every, contending team needs to add to their team to make, make them a, legit contender type stuff. But man, today's video, I wanted to talk about the rebuilding teams. I wanted to talk about the things some of these rebuilding teams, need to do over the off season. Maybe as far as like these moves make them better, or moves or trades that they should make to bring in like more draft picks for them, like type stuff. So before I get into it, man, if you love the NBA, man, if you love NBA content just in general, man, hit that like button because it's here. Because we get all NBA content for you. Hit the like button, man, so it can get out to even more people. And subscribe to on the channel, man, if you love the NBA in general, man. But every rebuilding NBA team, biggest needs. Now, I'm gonna start with the Pistons, all right? So the Pistons, for me, personally, I would think maybe a star up front. Now I understand this might be bold or a rash move. This particular move I'm finna bring to you guys, but Pistons have a chance to swing for the fences, in my opinion. Firing up a max offer for the likes of somebody like DeAndre Ayton. Now, the reason why this might be, with this particular, trade might be just so hard to really, predict is because, historically, the thrifty Suns ownership also might try to lowball, Ayton, knowing that teams have the cap space to make him a competitive offer. And man, if Detroit is the only outside suitor with the space to max him out, Ayton would have to at least consider ditching a contender for a fresh start. In a hypothetical, the Pistons could go forward with Cade Cunningham, Ayton, whoever they grab with their high lottery pick, Jeremy Grant, and a cap sheet otherwise populated by cheap and or tradable contracts. If Detroit is the only outside suitor with the space to max him out, Ayton would have to at least, like I said, man, like consider ditching, a contender. For me, it makes sense because to the mix with the young talent, with the guys like Cade, and a potential lottery pick, and maybe Jeremy Grant. I think that's something that the Pistons should consider. Now, also too, Detroit will likely have intel as to whether Ayton will consider a move long before it'll have to slide the offer sheet across the table. But even if the Pistons took the risk of tying up money while Ayton considers a deal, possibly costing themselves a chance to court free agents, that isn't the worst outcome in the world, man. So like I said, if you the Pistons, that's something that should probably interest you. Adding another big guy like Ayton to this young team, man. But moving along, man, the Houston Rockets. Now, as far as for the Houston Rockets, I think going forward into the offseason, going forward for their future. It's simple, man. Stack those draft picks. The Houston Rockets are a long way from being a competitive team, and the status affords them at least one more year of entirely future-focused thinking. That's code for going Oklahoma City, because as we know, Oklahoma City is good as like hoarding and hoarding picks and assets. Fortunately, the Rockets have several assets that they should be useful in that endeavor. John Wall's contract will expire after the 2022-2023 season, which means his appeal as a trade piece is only rising. The Rockets should re-engage, in my opinion, with the Los Angeles Lakers on a swap for Russell Westbrook, in the hope that LA will part with one of both its available first rounders, 2027, 2029. Considering LeBron James's age and the Lakers, depth of young talent, those picks could wind up being hugely valuable. The Lakers will have to view Wall as a major upgrade over Westbrook, which is a tough sell, I guess. But still don't underestimate how much worse things could get in LA down the stretch. And a buyout of Westbrook's deal, which will bring back nothing in the way of roster help, probably wouldn't please James. If you Houston, man, get LA on the phone, man, and see if y'all can, do that deal and, make something happen. Especially if things keep on spiraling down for the Lakers. So if I'm Houston, that's something I'm definitely, checking out, at least calling, making some type of call over the offseason. Now the Indiana Pacers. For me, when I look at the Indiana Pacers, a combo forward, adding some type of combo forward over the offseason. Now, based off the Pacers' histories, we know Pacers are always going to have an eye toward getting the short-term, rebuilding Pacers back into the playoff mix. They're rarely left over the last few decades with Halliburton and Brogdon and the backcourt Buddy Hield and Duarte on the wing and Miles Turner in the middle. Indiana's cupboard is far from bare. However, it lacks the type of rangy forward necessarily to wrangle with the Jason Tatums, the Jimmy Butlers, or the Kevin Durant's of the world. Now, you might be thinking, well, we have T.J. Warren, but personally, he's an unrestricted free agent and has played a grand total of 4 NBA games, 0 this year, since busting out in the bubble. Bringing him back at a discount would be wise, but the Pacers can't be confident he'll contribute 70-plus games of quality play after such a long injury layoff. Now, for me personally, a guy I had in mind maybe, Miles Bridges would be, interesting here, as he'd fit nicely into either forward spot and would add a level of athleticism and transition pop that Indiana's roster currently lacks. Halliburton would have a field day, man, chucking lives to one of the league's top finishers, and the Pacers might finally have a transition attack whose pace creeps above, above the range. So, when I look at that roster, they need fours and good fours at that. And a guy like Miles Bridges is definitely something that can't be sniffed at, and that's something going forward for the Pacers that you could possibly looking, at doing. It's funny when we talk about rebuilding teams and the team that's doing it the right way as far as hoarding picks, we move right along to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Man, the Oklahoma City Thunder have $31 million in cap space, burning a hole in their pocket, but they only have until June 30th to use it. After that, the league's year flips. Shea, his max extension kicks in. Poof, that cap space is gone. Unfortunately for Thunder fans, hoping for some expensive talent that isn't part of a salary dump, the only realistic way for OKC to use that room is to take on more bad money. Think Russell Westbrook or Tobias Harris from a team willing to include draft picks for the trouble. Doing that just goes with how OKC operates with stockpiling picks for over 2 years. Have a haul of 17 first. The Thunder aren't a free agent destination. And even if they were, it wouldn't make sense to go out and sign a veteran to the mid-level exception just to improve the team for next season. OKC has built a roster with holes everywhere outside of, Shea and Giddey. And Kemba Walker's dead money for next season leaves surprisingly little flexibility. And when you think about it, what do the Thunder, need this offseason, man? For me, young players and picks, sure. But more than anything, if you're an Oklahoma fan, I think it's really important, just to have patience with this team. I think that's the key word for the Thunder is patience. Now moving on to the Orlando Magic. For me, when I look at their roster, they need shooting, man. It's something Orlando should be focusing on adding is shooting. When you give big minutes and playmaking responsibilities to inexperienced guards, ugly offense is the expectation. But even if the Orlando Magic, 29th in offense, 28th in effective field goal percentage, and 27th in three-point accuracy, might have seen this coming, that's no excuse for letting these struggles linger into next year. The Magic needs shooting, and they need it badly. Only 3 rotation regulars, 800 minutes or more on this year's Magic team, have true shooting percentages above the league average. Wendell Carter Jr., Mo Bamba, and Gary Harris. The last 2 are headed for free agency, which means Orlando might head into the 2022-2023 season with Carter as the only guy on the roster who's capable of scoring at an efficient level. That sounds ridiculous. Just having Wendell Carter as your only best shooter, that's crazy. Now, Franz Wagner, he's close to joining the above group, and his success across the board as a rookie, it shows growth. but many of the teams returning high-volume shooters, Cole Anthony, Terrence Ross, and Okeke Jalen Suggs, are so far below average in shooting efficiency that even significant strides won't be enough to get the offense to respectable levels. So, if you're an Orlando fan, I'll be keep my eye out and see if they really attack their problem of adding more shooting to it. Now, for me, moving on to the Trailblazers, for me, something that they should be keeping an eye on is a mobile center. You could go a number of different directions for the soft rebuild Portland Trailblazers, but as they try to hastily reconstruct their contender around Lillard, the need for a switchy defensively mobile center stands out. With the key returners from what looks like a leaky, easily overpowered perimeter defense, you might think it's wise to bring back Nurkic to defend the rim. He's been great at that over years, reliably reducing opponent attempt rate and accuracy inside. But multiple injuries have sapped Nurkic, his lateral, mobility, and teams have consistently gotten up more three-point attempts when he's in the game, a result of his limitations on the, perimeter. Now, Portland, you can talk about Portland for days, but, when I look at their roster and just glancing at it, I love Nurkic, but maybe it's time for more of a mobile, center, to add with Dame and, go with some of them, young players. Something that they should be taking a look at this offseason for sure, Now, next, Sacramento Kings. It's simple, find some wings. Davion Mitchell and De'Aaron Fox are fine in the backcourt for me personally. Though they form an undersized and suspect shooting combo, they both have an upside. And Fox is a reliable three-point shot away from regaining French all-star status. Sabonis and the glut of reserve bigs means the center position is set, and Harrison Barnes is steady at the 4. The only wings Sacramento currently has on the books for next year are Justin Holiday and Mo Harkless. Those two have single-digit career scoring averages, and no reason to expect improvement. Especially how long they've been in the league. So so with that it is what it is. That now Dante DiVincenzo, I know I just pronounced that. I know I pronounced his last name just off, totally off. Now he's a restricted free agent who's likely to stick around. But for me, man, he's too small to occupy a wing spot, especially with so little size at the guard position. The Kings will have the full mid-level exception at their disposal, but few good options in free agency. Otto Porter and Derrick Jones have appeal, but they're closer to being combo forwards. Depending on his draft luck, Sacramento could draft, Duke freshman AJ Griffin or Arizona sophomore, Benedict, Mathurin, I think Mathurin. I believe that's how you pronounce it, but building through the draft makes the most sense, but don't rule out the Kings trading their first rounder for Magic Beans. You just never know with these guys, man. You never know. You never know with the Kings. So it's a wait and see mode on what they probably do this offseason, but if I'm now, I'm looking for some more wings for sure. Moving on to the Spurs, I think it's pretty clear. I need some clarity on Greg Popovich. Now, he's a legendary head coach, we all know, has the NBA's all-time wins record in hand now. And he's 7-3, and for me, I feel like he has nothing left to prove. The Spurs need to know whether he intends to return, in the 2022-2023 season before they make any other decisions, because Pop's status affects everything about their offseason plans. On the extreme end, they can't lean into a rebuild that might include using cap space to take on bad contracts with Pop, still in charge. San Antonio seems only half serious about his youth movement, which is understandable as long as Pop is, around. Example, though 7 of San Antonio Spurs' top 8 players, including Derek White, who's now gone, total minutes are, in their age 26 or younger season. A team in this position, not being coached by Pop, likely would have already given tons of time to rookie Josh Primo. If Popovich is around next year, the Spurs' youngest players still might struggle to get playing time over low, ceiling but more reliable veterans. So, you the Spurs, that's something you got to think about there. Talk to Pop on how you feeling about, if you want to retire, or, you got to figure out that Pop situation, so to where you can finally get a clear, path to where you want to take, the Spurs, going forward, But, yeah, man, that's pretty much it. As far as for the rebuilding teams and what they should be looking for towards the future, next season and stuff. But if you're an NBA fan and you love content like this and you enjoyed the video, man, hit the like button, man. Don't be afraid to hit that like button. Hit the mess at that like button, matter of fact. And subscribe to the channel, man, and hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. But that's pretty much it for me. Yeah.